Firstly, have the kick, and the kick is playing your regular pattern. And in terms of the processing, I've added a transient processor. Boosting the attack and bringing the release of the kick all the way down, making it quite short, because this is it without. That's it without the transient processor, and this is it with it. I mean, it has a very slight difference, but yeah, I just wanted to get the attack to be more present, and it's a little bit, you can hear it very subtly. So next up is the string. That's your basic string pattern, and it's all the way till the build up, because in the drop that is where the 808 comes in, but I'll talk about that later. So then next up is the synth, and for processing only, there is nothing, it's just volume that I've done. So next up is the Vox. As you can see, I've pitched the vocal down just to make it unique, and I brought the starting point up a bit. And in terms of the mixer, there's no effects on this. It's as is, and it's throughout the whole song. Then next up is this tom, which plays in the first half of the song. And as for the mixer, there's no effects on it, it's just some volume stuff that I've done. Then there is this tom fill, so I got a bit creative with adding it in certain places in the track, so I'm just adding those extra 2 notes there. So in context with what we have so far, this is what it sounds like. So that's the tom fill in context with the first part of the beat. So next up is the clap, which, like the first section, I've added 2 extra notes just to add a little bit more variation to the clap pattern, because it follows the tom. And in terms of the mixer, there is nothing on it. And next up is the very funnily named boing, which is this percussion sound, which sounds like hitting like a bucket. And in terms of the mixer, there is nothing on the mixer, so it's just some volume that I've done. So this plays throughout the first part and then all the way in the drop section. So then there is this bass fill that I have, which is just 2 notes, and it's just to add some variation, and I have it just in the first part of the track. So next up is the vocal. So this is doing most of the work here. It is this vocal loop that I found, and I just chopped up and made it unique. And I also pitched it to the key of the song. With your vocals, you gotta get creative with it. So you can't just drag and drop it like that, but I mean, there's no variation to it. So this is making your vocal chops unique in your songs. And then in the drop section, I have it playing like this. And then it just repeats throughout the drop. Next up is the crash, your stock standard Gqom crash, and then we go into the log drum. Now I know you guys have asked, how do I process my log drum? And to show you guys, we gotta go to the pattern. So double click on it. There is the pattern of the log drum, and as you can see, the velocity is all the way to 100%. It's that and I've maxed out the channel volume as well, so it's loud. As you can see, it's a very simple pattern. In context with the beat, that's how that sounds. And then my drum fill, which you guys should know by now, I've added it in a lot of my recent Gqom stuff. So this is, yeah, that's something unique to me. Then moving on to the build-up section, we have the riser, which is a simple uplifter riser sound. That's it. And then obviously my tag, which you guys should know by now, it's a DJMattz exclusive. Now moving on to the drop. So let me break down the 808. So with the 808, here is the 808 by itself. And as you can hear, there is a tiny transient to this 808. So how do you make the 808 stand out in your mix? You add a top kick to it. So without the top kick, with the top kick. And in terms of the mixer, for the 808, I did actually sidechain it first, but I didn't like how it sounded, so I just took it out. And it does sound like it's clashing, but in terms of the context of the mix, it worked. You know, when everything is playing together, you can't really make out that it's clashing. So, and a mixing engineer might see this and they might collapse with what I'm saying, but you know, it sounded right to my ears, so I was happy with it. Then we have the whistle, which if you guys do know, I love adding a sustained whistle with a transgate on it. So I love using the kilohertz transgate on the 32 note preset. So that's it, because I mean without it's just the sustained note and it gets boring, you know. So you can get creative. I mean, you can also do this in gross beat as well, which if you go to the quarter note preset, I just like the transgate preset. And then the Reese. So this was one of like the last things. The Reese and the synth here were two of the last things that I added. So this is the pattern. It's the same pattern, just in the first one I've taken, as you can see, this note here, moved it up and chopped it. And what do we have on the mixer? Once again, the transgate. As you guys know, I love this plugin. I've added a reverb, which is the default reverb when you load up Fruity Reverb 2, and then an EQ cutting out all the low end, everything under 110 Hertz, because you don't want the low end of the Reese to clash with your 808. So, and then there is this pluck, well, I say pluck, this lead sound that I've added with gross beat, but it's using the same quarter note pattern, because without it, it's just, you know, just to add a little bit more movement, you know. And in context with the whole drop, that is how I made my new track Isikhathi. And yeah,